It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three by the long grey beard and glittering eye. Now, wherefore stoppest thou me? The bridegroom doors are open wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set. May us hear the merry din. He holds him with the skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, grey-beard loon. Eftsoons his hand dropped he. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner has his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on the ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared, merrily did we drop, below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he has shone bright on the right, went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at moon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon. The bride has paced into the hall, red as a rose is she, nodding their heads before he goes, the merrily mysterily. The wedding ghost, he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on the ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tireless and strong. He struck with his overtaking's wings and chased the south along. With slapping mast and dipping prow, and who pursue with yell and blow, still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward all we fled. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice mass high came floating by, as green as emerald. And through the drifts the snowy cliffs did ascend a dismal sheen. No sheeps of men, nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in a swound. And linked it across an albatross, through the fog it came. And if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it near had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split and thunder flit, the helmsman steered us through. It ate the food it near had ate, and round it flew. The spice did split and thunder fit, the helmsman steered us through. And a good south wind sprung up behind, the albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came the mariner's hollow. In mist or cloud, a master shroud, it perched for the vespers 9, whilst all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends and the plague thee thus. Why look'st thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. Part 2. The sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. And the good south wind still blew behind, but now sweet bird did follow. No any day, food or play, came the mariner hollow. And I had done this hellish thing, and it would work in me woe. And from all ever I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Ostress said I, the bird to slay, that made the breeze to blow. Dim near nor red, like God's own head, the glorious sun uprist. Then all evered I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. 'Twas right, said they, such birds to slay, that framed the fog and mist. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into the silent sea. Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down. 'Twas sad as sad could be, and we would speak only to break the silence of the sea. All in a hot copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right Up above the mast did stand, no bigger than the moon. Day after day, we struck no breath, no motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water, everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water, everywhere, but not any drop to drink. The very deep did rot, O Christ, that ever this should be. Yet slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. About, and reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water, like a witch's oils, burned green and blue and white. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. And every tongue through utter drought was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. And every tongue through utter drought was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. Part 3. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time has glazed each weary eye. When looking westward I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at last a certain shape I wist. A speck, a mist, a shape I wist, and still it neared, and if it dodged the water sprite, it plunged and tackled veered. Was the throats unslacked, with black lips baked? We could not laugh nor wail, through the utter drought all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail, a sail!" With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, agape they heard me call. Gramercy! They for joy did grin, and all at once their breaths drew in, and they were drinking all. See, see! I cry, she tacks no more. Hither to work us wheel, without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies up right keel. The western wave was all aflame, the day was nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad bright sun. When the strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun, and straight the sun was flecked with bars, heaven's mother sent his grace. As if through a dungeon grate he peered, with broad and burning face. Alas, thought I, my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears, and through her sails that glance in the sun, like reckless gossameres. Are those her ribs through which the sun did peer as through a grate? As this woman all her crew, it is of that death, and all through too, is death the woman's mate. Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold, her skin was as white as leprosy, the nightmare life and death was she, who licks men's blood with cold. The naked hulls the lines that came, then the twain were casting dice. The game is done, I've won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. The sun's rims drips, the stars rush out. At one strides comes the dark, and with fear-hearted whisper o'er the sea, off shot the spectre bark. We listened and looked sideways up, fear at my heart as at a cup. My lifeblood seemed to sip, the stars were dim and thick the night. The steer for his face by lamp gleam white, from the sails the dew drip drip, till the clomb above the eastern bar, the horn moon with one bright star, within and near the tip. One after one the bright star-dogged moon, too quick from the groan and sigh, each turned his face in grashy pang, and cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor say nor groan, with the heaping thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. The souls did from their bodies fly, they fled to bliss or woe, and every so it passed me by, like the whiz of a crossbow. Part 4. I fear thee, ancient mariner, I fear thy skinny hand, and thou art long and lank and brown, as its ribs see sand. I fear thee and thy glittery eye, and thy skinny hand so brown. Fear not, thou, wedding guest, this body drop not down. Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea, that never a saint took pity on my soul in agony. The many men so beautiful, and they all dead did lie, and 1,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. I looked upon the rotting sea, and I drew my eyes away. I looked upon the rotting deck, and there the dead men lay. I looked to heaven and tried to pray, but oh, wherever prayer had gust, a wicked whisper came and made my heart as dry as dust. I closed my lids and kept them close, and the balls like pulses beat. From the sky and the sea and the sea and the sky lay the load on my weary eye, and the dead were at my feet. The coldest sweat melted from the limbs, nor rot nor reek did they. The look which they looked on me has never passed away. An orphan's curse would drag to hell a spirit from on high. But oh, more horrible than that is the curse in a dead man's eye. 7 days, 7 nights I saw the curse, and yet I could not die. The moving moon went up the sky, and did nowhere did abide. Softly she was going up, and the star or two beside. Her beams bemocked the sultry main, like April hoarfrost spread. But where's the ship-hued shadow lay, the charred water burnt away, and still an awful red. Beyond the shadow of a ship I watched the water snakes. They moved in tracks in shiny white, and they were reared in elfish light, fell off in the hoary flakes. Within the shadow of a ship I watched the rich attire. Blue, glassy green, and velvet black they coiled and swam, in every track 280 was a flash of golden fire. Oh, happy living things, no tongue their beauty might declare. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. Sure my kind saint took pity on me, and blessed them unaware. The self-same moment I could pray, and from my neck so free, the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. Part 5. Oh, sleep! It is the gentle thing, beloved, from the pole to pole. To Mary Queen the praise be given. She sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. The silly buckets on the deck that had so long remained, I dreamt that they were filled with dew, and when I woke it rained. My lips were wet, my throat was cold, my garments all were dank. Sure I had drunken in my dream, and still my body drank. I moved, and I could not feel my limbs. I was so light, almost. I thought that I had died in sleep, and I was a blessed ghost. And soon I heard a roaring wind. It did not come near, but with the sound it shook the sails that were so thin and sere. The upper air burst into life, and 100 fire flags sheen. To and fro they were hurried about, and to and fro and in and out, the wan stars danced between. And the coming wind did roar more loud, and the sails did sigh like sedge, and the rain poured down from one black cloud. The moon was at its edge. The thick black cloud was cleft, and still the moon was at its side, like water shot from some high crag. The lightning fell with never a jag, and the river steep and wide. The light would never reach the ship, yet now the ship moved on. Beneath the lightning and the moon, the dead men gave a groan. They groaned, they steered, they all uprose, nor spake nor moved their eyes. It had been strange, even in a dream, to have seen the dead men rise. The helmsman steered, the ship moved on, yet never a breeze of blew. The mariners again worked the ropes where they were wont to do. They raised their limbs like lifeless tools. We were a ghastly crew. The body of my brother's son stood by me, knee to knee. The body and I pulled at one rope, but he said not to me. I fear the ancient mariner, be calm, thou wettest guest. 'Twas not the soul that fled in pain, which the corpse comes again, but a troop of spirits blessed. For when it dawned, they dropped their arms and clustered round the mast. Sweet sounds rose slowly through their mouths, and from their bodies passed. Around, around flew each sweet sound that darted to the sun. Slowly the sounds come back again, now mixed, now one by one. Sometimes a dropping from the sky, I heard the skylark sing. Sometimes all little birds that are. How they seem to fill the sea and air with a sweet jargoning. And now 'twas like an all instruments, now like a lonely flute, and now it's an angel song that makes the heavens be mute. It ceased, yet still the sails made on, a pleasant noise to noon, a noise like a hidden brook in the leafy month of June. that to the sleeping woods all night singeth a quiet tune. Till the noon we quietly sailed on, yet never a breeze did breeze. Slowly and smoothly went the ship, moved onward from beneath. Under keel 9 fathom deep, from the land of mist and snow, the spirit slid, and it was he that made the ship to go. The sails at noon left off their tune, and the ship stood still also. The sun, right up above the mast, had fixed her to the ocean, but in a minute she gained steer, with a short easy motion, backwards and forwards half her length, without an uneasy motion. Then like a pawning horse let go, she made a sudden bound. It flung the blood into my head. I fell down in a swound. How long in that same fit I lay, I have not to declare, but ere my living life returned, I heard in my soul discern 2 voices in the air. It is he, quoth one. Is this the man by him who died on the cross? With his cruel bow he laid full low the harmless albatross. The spirit was bidden by himself, and the land of mist and snow. He loved the bird that loved the man who shot him with his bow. The other was a softer voice, and soft and lonely dew. Quoth he, the man his penance done, and penance more will do. Part 6. But tell me, speak again, thy soft response renewing. What makes this ship drive on so fast? What is the ocean doing? Still as a slave before his lord, the ocean has no blast. His great bright eye most silently upon the moon is cast. If he may know which way to go, for he guides him smooth and grim. See, brother, see, how graciously she looketh down on him. But why drives on the ship so fast, without a wave or wind? The air is cut away before, and closes from behind. Fly, brother, fly, more high, or we shall be lated, for slow and slow the ship will go, when the mariner's trance is abated. I woke, and we were sailing on as gentle a weather. 'Twas night, calm night, the moon was high, the dead men stood together. All stood together on the deck from a charnel dungeon fitter, all fixed on me like the stony eyes that in the moon did glitter. The pang, the curse with which they died, had never passed away. I could not draw my eyes from theirs, nor turn them up to pray. And now this spell was snapped. Once more I viewed the ocean green, and looked far forth, yet little saw of what had else been seen. Like one that on a lonesome road doth walk in fear and dread, and having once turned round walks on, and turns no more his head, because he knows a frightful fiend doth close behind him tread. But soon there breathed a wind on me, nor sound nor motion made. Its path was not upon the sea, and ripple or in shade. It raised my hair, it fanned my cheek, like a meadow gale of spring. It mingled strangely with fears, yet it felt like a welcoming. Swiftly, swiftly flew the ship, yet she sailed softly too. Sweetly, sweetly blew the breeze, on me alone it blew. Oh, dream of joy! Is this indeed the lighthouse top I see? Is this the hill? Is this the kirk? Is this the mine own country? Which drifted over the harbor bar, and with sobs did pray, O let me awake, my God, O let me sleep away. The harbor bay was clear as glass, so smoothly it was strewn, and on the bay the moonlight lay, on the shadow of the moon. The rock shone bright, the kirk was less, that stands above the rock. The moonlight steeped in silentness, the steady weather cock, and the bay was white with silent light, till rising from the same, full many shapes that shadows were, and the crimson colors came. A little distance from the prow, those crimson shadows were. I turned my eyes upon the deck. O Christ, what saw I there? Each corse lay flat, lifeless and flat, and by the holy rood, all man, all light, a separate man, on every corse there stood. There, Sabbath band, each waved his hand. It was a heavenly sight. They stood as signals to the land, each one lovely light. The Sabbath band each waved his hand, nor voice did they impart. No voice, but oh, the silence sank like music on my heart. But soon I heard the dash of oars, I heard the pilot's cheer. My head was turned fearful away, I saw a boat appear. The pilot and the pilot's boy, I heard them coming fast. Dear Lord in heaven, it was joy the dead men could not blast. I saw a third, I heard his voice. It is the hermit good. He singeth loud his godly hymns that he makes in the wood. He'll shrive my soul, he'll wash away the albatross blood. Part 7. This hermit good lives in that wood which sloops down to the sea. His loudly sweet voice his rears. He loves to talk to mariners that cometh from a far country. He kneels at morn, at noon and eve. He has a cushion plump, is at the moss that woolly hides the rooted old stump. The skiff most near, and I heard them talk. Why, this is strange, I trow. Where are those lights so many and fair that signaled maid but now? Strange by the faith, the hermit said, and they answered not our cheer. The planks look warped, and see the sails, how thin they are and sere. I never saw aught like them, unless the punches were brown skeletons of leaves that lag my forest brook along, when the ivy tod is heavy with snow, and the owlet whoops to the wolf below, that eats the she-wolf's young. Dear Lord, it has fiendish look, the pilot made reply. I am feared. Push on, said the hermit cheerily. The boat came closer to the ship, but I nor spake nor stirred. The boat came close beneath the ship, and straight a sound was heard. Under the water it rumbled on, still louder and more dread. It reached the ship, it split the bay, the ship went down like lead. Stunned by that loud and dreadful sound, which sky and ocean smote, like one that has beat 7 days, drowned, my body lay afloat. But swift in dreams myself I found, with the pilot's boat, upon the whirl where sank the ship. The boat spun round and round, and all was still, save the hill was telling the sound. I moved my lips, the pilot shrieked, and fell down into a fit. The holy hermit raised his eyes and prayed, where did it sit? I took the oars, the pilot's boy, who now does crazy go, laughed aloud and long, and all the while his eyes went to and fro. Ha ha ha, quoth he, full plain I see, the devil knows how to row, and now all in my own country. I stood on the firm land, the hermit stepped forth from the boat, and scarcely he could stand. Oh, shrieve me, holy man! The hermit crossed his brow, says, Quick, quoth he, I bid thee say, what manner of man art thou? For worth with frame of mine was wrenched with this woeful agony, which forced me to begin my tale, and then it left me free. Since then at a certain hour the agony returns, and still my ghastly tale is told, this heart within me burns. I pass like night from land to land, I have strange power of speech. That moment that his face I see, I know the man that must hear me. To me, my tale I teach. What loud uproar bursts from that door? The wedding guests are there, but in the garden bower the bride and the bridesmaids singing are, and the hark the little vesper bell, which biddeth me to prayer. Oh, wedding guests, and so has been alone on the wide sea. So lonely 'twas that God himself scarce seemed there to be. Oh, sweeter than the marriage feast, 'tis sweeter far to me, to walk together to the kirk with a godly company. To walk together to the kirk, and all together pray, while each to his great Father bends, old men and babes and loving friends, and youths and maidens gay. Farewell, farewell, to this I tell, to thee thy wedding guest. He prayeth well, who loveth well, both man and the bird and beast. He prayeth best, who loveth best, all the things both great and small. For the dear God who loveth us, he made us and loveth all. The mariner, whose eye is bright, with his beard with age is hoar, is gone, and now the wedding guest turned from the bridegroom's door. He went like one that has been stunned, and is of sense of forlorn, and sadder and wiser man he rose the morrow morn. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Johnny WordSlinger, Arizona.